Okay, it's about Sunday, 2:15 p.m. Pacific time, April 27th, and yes, I am wearing the same shirt as yesterday. I am a proud outfit repeater, and there will be snoring in the background because my little dog, Martha, who is just out of the ICU, has to be supervised at all times, so she's sleeping right next to me, and she has always snored like a chainsaw. So if you hear loud snoring, that's the 8-pound dog and not the 55-pound dog. Okay, so this is part 3 of stepping through all of the questions from the National Indivisible call on Thursday. If you're watching them on TikTok, obviously just click back through the videos before this one to find the first 2. If you're watching this on YouTube, I asked folks what they would prefer, and I got a mixed bag of post it as a compilation at the end of all of the questions in one long, like 45 or 60-minute long video. But about half of you said post each of the videos individually. So I'm going to do both. I also have a playlist on my YouTube channel called Indivisible Calls, so you can look back over all the previous meetings and my takes on what we talked about. For this video, I'm going to mash questions 2 and 9 together. Question 2 was, what is the next day of massive protest? And question 9 was almost more of a comment. It was saying that each protest has to be bigger than the one before it. And they were concerned because the April 5th Hands Off protests had about 5.2 million people, and the reports are that the Patriots Day 419 protests had 4 million people. And they were saying, why didn't Indivisible more loudly support the protests on 419? And isn't that a problem that fewer people turned out on the 19th than on the 5th? So I want to tackle that second question first and then loop back up to the first question. Now, as Ezra was reading this criticism, immediately I was like, no, each subsequent protest does not have to be larger than the one that came before it. And there have been many protests in between April 5th and April 19th. And all of those are worthy. They are drawing people into the movement. They are raising awareness. They are reaching people who had not previously been reached. So this person was like, why didn't Indivisible go all in on the 19th? And Leah, who's one of the Indivisible founders and hosts of the meeting every week, said, let me ask you a question. What does it mean to be a large node in a decentralized grassroots movement? So Indivisible itself is an aggregate of all of these small chapters that are operating based on what the members of those local chapters want and then coordinating with the larger national organization. And Leah describes that national org as a node within a decentralized grassroots movement. And I really appreciated this framing because with a decentralized movement, you have all of these various folks who are all committed to the restoration of our democracy, the rule of law, creating an America that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Right, there's 50-51 movement, there's Extinction Rebellion, there's the League of Women Voters, there's Indivisible, there's the Youth DSA, there's also unions that are involved, immigrants' rights groups that are involved. There's also independent media and social media creators that are involved. There's coalitions of universities, and now I saw Legal Eagle said he's joining a coalition of attorneys. We are all part of a decentralized movement where we don't have like one big leader who's directing all of us. And that means each node within the movement might have a different kind of capacity, a different kind of, slightly different kind of focus, different amounts of energy and resources. And it may mean that different groups are planning different events and not everybody is going to be participating at the same level in every single event. And that is okay. Uh-oh, he's stealing Martha. Are you stealing Martha?
It's my turn.
Okay, bye. And it's important to remember that we're building a broad-based coalition of really diverse people from all kinds of backgrounds and with all kinds of support needs. And I really appreciated that Leah said a decentralized network needs to have respect for everybody's needs. A decentralized network needs to understand that other nodes in the network may have more limitations and that we're supporting each other's goals because it's really a shared goal. But that doesn't mean that everybody is going to have the capacity to do the same kind of intense planning for every single event. Some groups are going to take the lead during some events and then they're going to step back for another one. And that's sort of how Indivisible was. They felt that they really had the momentum and the capacity to plan for April 5th Hands Off, to be a leader for organizing that day. And what the national organization heard from the chapters was that they felt that the turnaround for April 19th was just a little too tight for them. Whereas other groups like 50-51 movement, they felt like that lift was doable for them. And so while Indivisible supported those events, they weren't an integral part of the planning. Loads of folks from Indivisible chapters showed up at the April 19th events. Right, my local chapter did not have an event, so I went to the one hosted by Extinction Rebellion. It's also really important to note here that April 19th was a holiday weekend. It was the day before Easter. And to get 4 million people to turn out on a holiday weekend, that is absolutely a huge success. And one of the things that Ezra and Leah pointed out was it's not the total head count, but like, are we getting new people here today? Each event should pull in new people and build new links in the network overall. So it's really kind of a fallacy to say we're just looking at the pure numbers counts, because the people who came on April 19th, a lot of those folks were not there on April 5th. We're seeing slightly different demographics of people. And that means that the movement is much larger than those individual head counts from those individual events. We know that not every protest has to have more people than the one that happened before it. What matters is that more people are being drawn in and that the overall movement is growing. And that leads me to the second question. Well, it's really the first question. Let's back up. What is the next big day of protest? Some folks said it makes sense to have one national day of protest per month that is consistent and builds a rhythm. Ezra pointed out that he doesn't pick the protest dates, the indivisible groups do. The member groups decide. Indivisible is a representative democracy. We know there are events happening on May 1st and May 3rd. They are being hosted by a huge diversity of organizations. My local Indivisible chapter is having an event on May 1st itself. The Trump regime is screwing over the working class in order to enrich billionaires. They are taking our tax dollars, our life hours, our quality of life to make billionaires richer. So what better day to protest the exploitation of working class Americans than on International Workers' Day? My local Indivisible chapter is coordinating with 5051. There's at least one other event in Portland on May 1st. It's being hosted by one of the teachers' unions. And the idea on May 1st is that we're trying to ease into a general strike. We're thinking about work stoppage and the power of that. So I know my group's event is happening from, I think, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And the idea is, can you take off work a half hour early? Can you think about withdrawing your labor and what kind of impact that might have? Because we're trying to level folks up. We're trying to get them to think in that direction and move in that direction. We need to set people up for success, and you cannot make the big ask until you have helped people build the skills, the endurance, and got them to really think that this is approachable for them. For people who cannot come out on a weekday on May 1st, there are multiple groups all over the country that are also hosting May 3rd events. Veterans groups, immigrants groups, union groups. I think that there is another group here in Portland. They're called Rose City Indivisible. They're not part of Indivisible. And then also 5051 groups that are hosting events on the 3rd. And also definitely there are teachers unions in Portland and around the country on the 3rd that have events. If you're trying to find events near you, I really encourage you to go to mobilize.us. That's a great first place to start. May 1st and 3rd are really important, not only for building momentum in the movement and kind of flexing our muscle, but also for us as individuals to be able to connect with people. And I said this in another video, but taking action actually builds your hope. It really boosts your morale. Marching in line with people who are like-minded, who care about democracy, who care about human lives as much as you do, I promise you that's really good for your soul. It's really good for your endurance in this. It's very nourishing. And I think it's really important that we get out and we connect with other people. There's not a single protest I have been to where I have felt drained afterward. Yeah, like physically, like, my dogs are barking, right? My feet are tired and I'm a little bit sunburned, but I feel replenished nonetheless because I have been surrounded by people who have really good energy. And I get to see physical proof, right in front of my eyes of how many people care so deeply about stopping the harm of the Trump regime, protecting vulnerable people, protecting the planet, righting the wrongs that are being done. I get to see all of these people who care about building the kind of America that we all deserve. So I really encourage you, if that's the only reason that you go to an event so that you can feel more motivated, that's a good enough reason. If it's all about you, about how you need a morale boost, you need a little infusion of hope, then 100% that's a legitimate reason to go. But Ezra talked about what comes after May 1st and 3rd, and he was saying just his pitch here, and I'm hearing people echo it all over, June 14th. That's Flag Day. Don't forget, it's our flag. It's not their flag. It's the flag of the American people, not the flag of the fascists. That's also Trump's birthday, and he's planning to use an ungodly amount of our tax dollars to have a big, expensive military parade in his honor. That doesn't sound like dictator shit, does it? So the thought was, let's ruin his birthday. We're not going to watch his parade. We're not interested in it. It's boring. We are going to have our own parties all around the country. And I know there's veterans groups already talking about June 14th. There's union groups talking about June 14th. So go ahead and put it on your calendar. I know in Portland, there will be multiple events that day. That is going to be kind of the next big national day of action as we're continuing to build the coalition and we're laying the foundation for something bigger. So May 1st and 3rd if you're able, and definitely June 14th.